He walked in limping, carrying a worn envelope and a quiet dignity. But before he even reached the donation table, two young volunteers were already blocking his path, telling him he didn't belong there. No one knew that the man they were about to humiliate had once carried half of them through the war they'd only read about. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. The room smelled of roasted chicken and cheap cologne. It was the annual Veterans Fundraiser, held in a glossy downtown hall, where laughter echoed off the marble and metals glimmered under chandeliers. Every table was covered in white linen, every speech rehearsed, and then through the side door, he appeared, an old man in a faded brown jacket, his left boot scuffed, his metal ribbons dulled with time. "Sir, this event's for veterans and invited guests only," one of the volunteers said sharply, blocking his way. "I am a veteran," he replied softly. His voice carried the tremor of age, but also something else, something the room didn't yet recognize. Snickers rippled through the line. One man whispered, "Yeah, sure you are, old-timer." Another laughed, "Maybe from the toy army." The old man's fingers tightened around his envelope. "I fought in Kunar Province, 3rd Battalion, Delta Company." The younger man frowned, never heard of it. The crowd nearby started turning, sensing tension. The noise dimmed, even the band slowed its song. He didn't argue further, he just lowered his eyes and turned toward the exit. But before he could reach the door, a voice boomed from the stage. A commanding voice that silenced the room instantly. "Hold it right there." Everyone turned. A tall figure in full dress uniform stood behind the podium, 4 stars on his shoulder. General Nathaniel Ross, one of the most decorated officers in modern military history, was looking directly at the old man. The volunteers froze. The old man looked confused. The general stepped down, his polished shoes echoing across the hall. Each step carried weight, respect, and memory. He stopped right in front of the trembling old man and stared at him for a long, unbearable moment. Then, in front of everyone, he straightened his back and raised his hand in a perfect salute. Gasps rippled across the hall. Silverware clinked against plates. Cameras froze mid-air. "Captain William Hart," the general said, voice breaking slightly. "You saved my entire platoon when I was just a lieutenant. You carried me out of an ambush after taking a bullet yourself." The room fell into absolute silence. The old man's eyes widened. "Nathaniel," he whispered. "You made it out." The general nodded, lowering his salute with trembling fingers. "Because of you, sir." Then he turned toward the crowd, his voice turning sharp. "This man is the reason I'm alive today. The reason any of you can stand here enjoying your meals. And you told him he doesn't belong." Murmurs of shame filled the hall. One of the volunteers stepped back, pale and speechless. Another tried to apologize, but words wouldn't come. The general reached for the old man's envelope and opened it, revealing a small wrinkled check for $50. "He came here not for charity," the general said, his voice cracking, "but to give what little he had to help other veterans." No one moved. Then one by one people began standing. Soldiers, wives, guests. Applause started slow, hesitant, then grew into thunder. Some cried openly. The general placed his arm around Captain Hart and guided him to the front. "From this day forward," he declared, "you'll never walk into a veterans event alone again." Tears streamed down the old man's face. "I only did what any soldier would do," he whispered. "No," the general said quietly. "You did what heroes do." That night, donations doubled. The story of Captain Hart spread across the country within days. But more than the money, it was the moment that changed people, a reminder of the quiet sacrifices that live among us, unnoticed until truth demands recognition. Because respect isn't earned through medals, it's preserved through memory. And sometimes, the smallest salute can awaken a nation's forgotten heart. If this story touched you, share it with someone who still believes in honor. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful true stories that remind us kindness, courage, and truth never go out of style.